A very good morning, Masota Mahle, Sanvisela, Sanamugela, Lamplaihle, Kusile Breakfast Show. Thank you so much for waking up with us at 6 o'clock on the dot. Look, Shogana Kukala, Kusile Breakfast Show. Wakona again, Kusbugela, YouTube, Mangabata Sechanje, Eswatini TV, Kusile Breakfast Show, and Veselago, Mulungelele Makagola. It is the 18th of April 2023. Good morning and welcome. Sfiso, how do you do this morning?
I'm doing very well, Lulu. I think Nebabugele Makaya Baba Pilile Lamtlakseni. You know, I'm waking up in high spirits. Ni kumbula utse vigin lel pelile sebene baga health. Bafike ke ba breaker storyless cool. Kutsi batao announcer HPV vaccine rollout. So they broke it last too. I think the whole country today, as well as other media groups that are kona kutsi bawa brief and hopefully nanatista wakona sibe part of the people about to witness this groundbreaking announcement. See, let's say babugel betu maybe kusasa, we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sikanti-ke namhlanje nesitaba sibuke nje kakhulu itindzaba kakhulukazi itindzaba temabhizinisi kakhulukazi nje temabhizinisi letibuke bona bantfu labasha sitaba sikhulumisana nalosuka ka Youth Enterprise Revolving Funds lakumele ukuthi sikhwama ke lesi sahulumende lesisekela ngetimali bantfu labasha labaneminyaka lisuka ku-18 iye ku-35 years. Lesikhwama lesi sihlose ukuthi sinciphise lizinga labantfu labasha labede umsebenzi ngekubavulela emathuba ukuthi bakhona ukuthi isungulela emabhizinisi abo njengoba lokhu nje lizinga lebantfu labasha lapha eveni labede umsebenzi as of 2019 lime ku-46.22%. Sikhwama ke se-Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund kusukela ngomnyaka wa-2018 kuya kumnyaka wa-2023 has approved loans amounting to 15.3 million amalangeni. Kanti ke seyisikhone kufinance emabhizinisi langu-282 kwakheka nemisebenzi lengu-640. Kanti ke lamhla studio will be speaking to Marketing and Communications Officer Slangu Jele losuka khona kulesikhwama kuva kabanti nje ngama-business clinics abebasolo bawenda lapho bebavakashela khona tinkhundla tehlukahlukene lapha eSwatini babafundzisa nje ngato temabhizinisi. Sifuna kuva kabanti ke ngama-skills labawabonile babasha labanawo kakhulu kade siphinde sibone nendzaba ukuthi recently they have approved 13 young people ukuthi sebangakhona kuthola i-funding from lesikhwama sayitaba sikhulumisana nalemhlekuseni at 7:30.
Kanti-ke nga 6:30 we will be joined by Zamandolo Fagutse long corporate communications ka-Setco. Sichubeka nayo-ke indzaba lungelele lathandza kuyitsinza nje indzaba yekubuka kutfutfuka kwamabhizinisi lakangwane kakhulu-ke naZamandolo sidabe sikhuluma ngekutfutfukiswa kwamabhizinisi lamancane lapho khona sathi ukuthi they have an initiative lapho khona they recognize and uncover businesses la thrive ke nge-excellence lebitwa ke ngema-entrepreneur awards of the year. Lesitabe ke sikhulumisana khona indzaba lenkhulu nje ukuthi lo nyaka kungathi kuhlanyelwe imali elinganiselwa ku 1.5 million emalangeni letawubese ke seyahlukaniswa ku-award labo lababe excellent in terms of their business endeavors lo nyaka lapha kangwane. Zamandolo will touch on the background of the entrepreneur awards of the year as well as notable past winners. Akhulumisa indzaba yema-categories, ema-requirements to join the competition and how to apply. Sethemba ukuthi ke takafika lapha ehlelweni utasichazela konke kufakale.
All right, it's 4 minutes after 6 o'clock. Last Spotlight Market Test, Abuya netindzaba etethu.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for? The owners of TV set and gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at Netbank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Welcome back. Sivusele nawo lo sanza kuzivulela kulesikhathi sitabuka indzaba tethu lomhla ekseni. Imfuna ilitiko letindlu nekuthuthukiswa kwamadolobha umfana Nkosi Simelane seyethulele indlu yabayesikhulu kuthi timotolo tibhadaliswa njani imali ekupaka edolobheni kulandzela tikhalo tebanikati betimoto ngelihlelo lokubhadalela lokupaka edolobheni. Imfuna beniketa timphendvulo ePhalamende ngemsombuluko.
Ngesikhathi indlu yabayesikhulu ichubeka nemsebenzi wendlu welisuku ngemsombuluko, indvuna yetiko letindlu nekuthuthukiswa kwamadolobha umfana Nkosi Simelane wetfule umbiko wetimphendvulo endlini lehloniphekile wesishukumiso lesasukunyiswa khona endlini eminyakeni lophelile lesithi timoto lotibhadaliswa njalo imali ekupaka edolobheni kaManzini naseMbabane.
Indlela lesha mkonzisi iqala ngaye lo 2018 lendlela lena mkonzisi masithi yisha nje ithethelwe emhlabeni wonke emkonzisi lela kupakwa khona njengoba nikhumbula nje tinfungo tengwenyama kunemasensa lapha phasi ngayinye ngakunye lapha kupakwa khona kuphindze kube sekubana naku kwema hand gadget lokusentethiswako kwekuthi ke sesimanje manje
Emalunga endlini abesayawukhulumisa lo mbiko wendvuna.
Kwakukahle vele lokwakuqala ukuthi uhamba nemali yakho loyibhadalela uqale khona. Vele kusikhinyabedo Mr Speaker lokwentekako.
Uma ngabe 15 minutes ngingakamcethi uthola ukuthi ngimile lapho kwaba ngi5 minutes sengiphinze futhi uthola ukuthi ngiyangena la stolo angithole lekufunako. Uma sengifika kulenye indzawo ngitafute phinze ngikhiphe imali ya 15 minutes
uthole ukuthi letindzawo tite baphethela amabhuku khona kanti mina nginaleli khadi bese bachaja le mali leningi kanti phela mina nginaleli khadi ngiyangithi ngibalekela khona lokuchajwa lekadi leliningi.
Indvuna ibese iniketa donati imphendvulo endlini
lapha la kupakwa khona endzaweni tekupaka lapho mawupaka sekwakho lokho thathile waphuma lapho noba waphuma 2 minutes washona embili so vele uyobhadala lena sekukwakho le.
Indlu yabayesikhulu ibese yemukela iphinze iphasa wona lo mbiko wendvuna. Etindzabeni eSwatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza nginasikhumbuzo Dlamini ePhalamende.
Indaba yesikhulu seyiphasise umthetho lotawubona eMaswati asukumisa tinkapane titfola nemathenda lamakhulu ukuthi umnotho uthuthukiswe ngiwo eMaswati lowatiwa nge-Citizens Economic Empowerment Bill wemnyaka wa 2021. Imfuna yamabhizinisi nekuthengiselana manxeba khumalo ibonge kwesekelwa yindlu ngalomthetho.
Ngemsombuluko ngesikhathi indlu yabayesikhulu ichubeka nemsebenzi wendlu sihlalo welikomiti lelibuke kusebenta kwelitiko letemabhizinisi nekuthengiselana khona endlini yabayesikhulu lophinze abelunga lePhalamende lenkundla yasemahlangatsha Musa Ngcobo ucele lendlu ukuthi iphasise umbiko walelikomiti mayelana nomthetho losakhankanya we-Citizens Economic Empowerment Bill lapho esekelwe khona ilunga lePhalamende lenkundla yakalomahasha Ndumiso Masimula.
Inhloso yale bhili Mr Speaker kube ukhutsata futhi igugudele kuthuthukiswa neku ngekukhula kwemabhizinisi lamancane eveni phindze futhi nalasemkhatsini ngokuthuthukisa umnotfo wetinkampani letiphethwe sive.
Le Citizen Economic Empowerment Council umsebenzi lomnengi la kulo mthetho lo uhleti la itikwa lelibandla ikakhulu kubona ukuthi lamaswati vele lamathuba awathola ekusebenteni nje awathole mhlawumbe la ukhanza ukuthi sokunemathenda kunekutinto singathi supply litawunaka lelibandla ukuthi vele emaswati ayawathola lawo mathuba lawo.
Emalunga ukhulumisile lo mbiko waleli komiti.
We are all aware ukuthi nenkampani debantu labaqhamuka ngephandle bedala khaya bendi imisebenzi nayo lesingayikhona singemaswati. Lo mthetho lo utama ukuthi kube neti ma business Mr Speaker lata utswa emaswati.
Bangaka labaphethe le dual citizenship. Uyawungena ngale yangala fake le yangala ukhanze solo ekuhamba lento. Asekuqiniseke nala ukuthi nawuba liswati. Yiba liswati maningi lamaswati labambe ngala nangala. Ngiko ke lokhu awufelisa le nto.
Indlu yabayesikhulu bese iyatigucula ibalikomiti lendlu yonke kuphasa lo mthetho netichibolo tawo yase Infinite Business nekuthengiselana amancoba khumalo ibonga kwesekelwa indlu ngalo mthetho.
This is one of the most consequential pieces of legislation indlu letawushaya ngaloko ukuthi lo mthetho unika emaswati emandla ukuthi abe in charge of their own economy and babe nema preferential arrangements kuma incentives nakuma locations nakuma sectors of the economy.
Indlu yabayesikhulu bese iyaguca yobuye ichubeka nemsebenzi wendlu ngalo langa lelitawubuka ngumcondzisi wetinkulumo eParliamente Petros Mavimbela. Etinzabente Eswatini TV kubika samkelisiwe khoza ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini eParliamente.
Busika balonyaka kubheke ukuthi bungabi makhata kakhulu kanti netimvula tibhekekile. Sangoma selitulu Sifiso Nzalo sithi lize ngale kubanza angeke lehle kakhulu.
Tangoma telitulu tithi busika balonyaka bubhekeke ukuthi bungabanzi kakhulu njengoba tithi kutawuba busika lobuthokomele lobunetimvula ingani busika lesusuka kububa nyakenye bebunetimvula letinengi baze baphela ke. Sangoma selitulu Sifiso Nzalo sethi kuletinyanga letintsatfu kusuka kuMay kuye kuJuly nababuka ke entumbeni bakhanze ukuthi busika lobutayelekile netimvula letibhekekile kodwa ke angeke kube makhata kakhulu.
Kude makhata langako leswabhekile kule sikhathi sami kufika July ukhanza ukuthi lapho cishe busika bethu khona. So sibheke ama temperatures la jwayelekile kulobusika but akhona mathuba okhanza ukuthi khona ataba ngedudlwana lokujwayelekile. Kumasibuka nje ama temperatures especially asebusuku lesibabita minimum temperatures udakhanza ukuthi adlaleti gabeni tabo 5 degrees kuya bo 16 degrees bo 17 degrees depending ukuthi ungakuphi nelive kahle so ataba adlaleke letinzawo leto satenzawo letiphakeme cishe ngakhanza bona kumakhatana kakhulu kakhona bese tinzawo letiphansi ehlanzeni ukhanza ukuthi cishe kuba nefuthumala kuba nefuthumala uma ucathanisa letinzawo letiphakeme.
Uthi emazinga ekubanza angeke aye ngaphansi kwa5 lekuma minimum temperatures nababuka ke khona ke ntumbeni yabo ke tipopolweni kuyeke ngenzawo lokuyo ke umuntu kanzi ke lamanye emazinga laphakeme atawudlalela kubo 15 degrees kuye ngenzawo la kuyo ke umuntu kodwa ke bathi angeke aze afike ku negative kubonakala ukuthi sebucanza kakhulu njengoba netimvula bathi titawube tikhona. Etinzabeni ngiyongiyana emsebenzini Simuva Shongwe sisembabane.
Sivese emphakathi wasesitwashini sesiphathisa elibandla lelikhefu nemincele itinkhundla kuthi uhulumende sekalanzelele akhiphe emalunga eParliamente langentilutfo etinkhundleni. Lesivebe sikhuluma ngesikhathi lelibandla lifundzisa ngelikhetfo.
umphakathi waseSidwashini ngaphansi kwenkundla yasemhlangatane ngulomunye lovakashelo libandla letelukhetfo nemincele inkundla i-Elections and Boundaries Commission EBC ngelisomvo emsebentini lochubekako wekufundisa sive ngelukhetfo. Ngemva kokuthi leli bandla letfule tifundvo lesive salomphakathi sibhekise imibuto saphathisa netincomo kuleli bandla.
Nangabe awukafunzi ke kanti uyasebenta la endzaweni uyabonakala noma lokuningi njena ungakukhona kukwenda.
Lo muntu saze samfaka ngale eyisekumadima kumthosi. Imadima ke leyo. La uqashwa ngithi akaholelwa ngithi uholelwa nguhulumende. Noma ungafisa kwani kumjosa kuto lotakwenda uhulumende umnikeza imali yakhe ekupheleni kwenyanga. Sicela lo lomholela ko amlanzelele ukuthi uyawenda lo msebenzi wakhe.
Nangaba mina nje ukudanyela ngithethemba. Ngalelilanga lokunqoma. Ngingasasukuma elimine ngithi nqome ngithi mina ngithi nqoma mina bese la emva kwami balandzela labang-20 la ngemva kwami.
Ngivumelekile lokhu sinase simbona lapha kuleli phepha. Ngivuma ngathi ukhuluma ngatheni webani. Siyambona vela akusiyo lo muntu wala Sidwashini. Ngivumelekile ukuthi nasimabili sitawukhona lokumkhokha noma kufuna ngisimkhokhe sesingithele.
Umsebenzi waleli bandla ekufundisa ngelukhetfo uqala eminyakeni lophelile kanti ngelisondvo ili-13 imiphakathi levakashelo kuleli bandla kufundisa sive ngetingondlo letahlukene talolu khetfo. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelisuye Khoza kanti tifombe tichamka ka-EBC.
Loluleka ngekusebenziswa kwemali Terence Twala ludume ngamthera uxwayisa eMaswati ukuthi akayekele kwenta tikwelede emabhange njengalokuthi ngikhomba tithi umnotfo emhlabeni wonke jikelele ufike esigabeni sekuntengantenga i-global recession lokutawenda ukuthi laba labanetikwenede emabhange batfonseka likhulu. Twala uthi eMaswati akahlanyele timali kulungiselela lesimo lekusolakala ukuthi siyeta.
Kungaba kuyala nomhlambe kuxwayisa eMaswati lokuthi ake sime kancane kuboleka kulamalanga sibuke ukuthi ngabe le mali lekhona lesifuna kungeda phezulu kwayo nasingayi-investa yona ingasakhela malini ngoba lama investments cishe ngona aperforma compared to le kwelede. So kungaba kulokuthi nana nathi singeMaswati sifunze le game la ekuthenini asiyibambe simane siyitalise kunalokuthi siyiphe labanye bantu. Yebo kona kunetidzingo but akube kunetidzingo mhlambe lokunye umuntu la ngakungeda ngile lapho khona bese sekusebenta khona ke lendzaba yabo masakhona bobani ngoba lalabanye labangasiwe emabhange le installment yabo I move with the prime rate. Now uboleka ubacabange nabo ubafaka into consideration ngoba bona na usayinele lo installment sakho sitaba nge-2000 sitaba nge-2000 iziyophela le loan. Nasibuka ema forecast isetawunyuka le tingomba letikhona nyalo tisikhomba tingomba tabo 2007 nasitawuya ku recession nga 2008 umhlaba wonke ugadze i-recession mhlawumbe after yona kuphinze nakutawufuna kuphinze recover le economy.
Inhlangano leyatiwa ngekuthi Women in Trade and Development ithi itimisele ukuthi abantwana labangemantfombatana labacitse isikole labangasebenzi ukuthi ibaside ngemakhono babe nemsebenzi batiphilise. Inhlangano ifundzisa emantfombatana laqhamuka ngaphansi kwetinkhundla letintsatfu kuleli kabanti ngetekulima nekuthunga.
Le nhlangano yinto lokunjenga kubuka sibalo lesetulu sebantu labasha labede umsebenzi. Le nhlangano ke ibafundzisa ngetekulima njengoba labanye balima tibhidwa kanti labanye bafuye tinkukhu. Labanye ke bafundziswa ukuthunga lapho bathunga khona ema-uniform esikolwa. Bathi ke ema-uniform lamaningi alandva ngale kweluthaka ngaphandle kwaleli kungako ke kunesidingo sokuthi athunga kuleli lokuvuleleke lamantombazana emathuba emisebenzi. Sebenzile Dlamini umcondzisi wayo kule nhlangano ukuthi babone ukuthi abahlanganise intsha lihlete emakhaya bayifundzise ngemsebenzi.
Sacala umsebenzi eminyakeni lophelile wa-2022 wekuthi sinikete bamfana bemantfombatane labaphumile esikolweni ngetezakhulo ehlukene ne-youth le yesifazane lesetinkhundleni letintsatfu ehukwini emaphalaleni kanye nasenkhaba. Sibaphe emakhono ekuthi batokhona kutikhicitela bakhona ukugenerate income.
Nawo ke lamantombazana ayalibonga lelithuba athi vele sidzingo besisikhulu njengoba bebahlede emakhaya bangenti lutho.
Thina nje endzaweni yangakithi ekuvinjelweni sikhethe iphathi ukuthi sitolima tibhifu
kakhulu tibhifo timcoka, especially thine kukhashani la sithenga khona tibhifo. So then nase sikhona thine lesifundza kawethathu sitawukhona kutilima tibhifo bakhone kutithenga baphile bami.
Baningi abantu labasha labahlele emakhaya ngiko-ke laba shothi bona babukele babona ukuthi okay bantu abasha singabasita kanjani.
Asawonke amantombazana lakhethiwe kuthi afunze angetulu kwama300 kaningi atawuceceshwa iminyaka lemibili. Etinzabeni namuhla ngiyani Msibeki Nasimuva Shongwe eMbabane.
Amaphoyisa eMmango endzawo yakamsunduza ngaphansi kwamasipala waseMbabane athi umena logcwele kulendzawo wenta ukuthi imitamo yawo yokulwa nebucala ungaba imphumelelo njengalokuthi igangi tibhaca khona. Lochumanisa masipala wedolobha leMbabane lakhetha bethe ukuthi tinyenti timvo letibanga kutsi lo masipala angakhoni kuhesha kuleli dolobha.
Liphoyisa leMmango lakamsunduza David Ndwandwe lithi bozidlani bathi nabacoshwa babaleke bosithela kulemena lemitsi lengakaheshwa.
Cishe lemena lekhona ilaceni kwemigwaco. Lokusho ukuthi noma umfabhace khona angavumbuka kubambe ungakhona usucabanga kwenda ini. So in short nje ngizama kusho ukuthi noma liphambelini singummango besiba nawo nasikuphele ebusika. Nasekuphela ihlobo bese siyangena siyajuba and futhi ngicela kuvetana lokunye ukuthi lesinye isikhathi besihamba siyocela namasipala basibambisa ke phambili vele nanyalo ngiyethemba ukuthi sibambisa ngoba ngikhuluma nje sesivetile kamasipala sacela mane basibambisa ngoba bavaba nama-contract bona labethu abathojuba lemena. So in short ngizama kuthini lemena ayisikahle iletha bucala iletha nebungoti kubantwana abathunyiwe nebantu abadzala khona sibabuye ebusuku emisebenzini bangavelelwa ingoti ngenxa lemena lekhona around emigwaco khona lapha eComplus.
Lokuchumanisa masipala waseMbabane kanye nesive lakhetha bethu uthi elihlolweni lelo masipala lekhesha abahambela embili tindzawo letihamba abantu labanyenti. Uthi lokunye lokwenta ukuthi kwene kakhulu kuseMbabane lina kakhulu litulu. Lokwenta ukuthi athi asaheshile kulenye indzawo bese lapho beyakathi asaheshe khona usekucala futhi sekwena.
Sitayibuka lena la ukhanza ukuthi khona cha ngathi vele sekunema repeat cases of crime. So nakhona sesibe sesiyangena kanjalo. I-network yakhe emasipala nema-leadership structures ema-communities i-wide. So ukhanza ukuthi kuma-communities sikhona singumasipala bakhona bafana bembuko emaphoyisa but la ngaphasi bese kuba-ke abakhona kuthiwa in-community police. So uma instances lanjalo vele sisebenzisana closely nawo amaphoyisa because ngiyolahlela kulama-communities ayawati lama-criminal elements that exist in each and every community.
Thabethu ucela imimango ukuthi nayo ayidlala inzima yayo ekulweni nebucala emimangweni labakiyo. Etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlanga Amandla Nasimuva Shongwe sikamsunduza.
Kutemidlalo lisekela lamengameli wenhlangano yemidlalo wama-gymnastics kuleli Kwanzile Bhembe uthi noma kubonakala kwangathi lo mdlalo udlala etikolweni netingasito tahulumende kulomnyaka losetulu bafise kuya etikolweni tahulumende ikakhulukazi leto letisemaphandleni. Bhembe bekakhulumana kuchubeka umhlangano walenhlangano lokhethekile labe bahlangane nebaceceshi balomdlalo.
Umdlalo wama-gymnastics uyingxenye yemidlalo ledlalwa emidlalweni yama-Olympics kanzi lapha eveni uvame kakhulu emadolobheni nasetikolweni letingasito tahulumende ema-private schools. Inhlangano engameleli umdlalo lapha eveni kulempelasonto beyibamba umhlangano nebaceceshi balomdlalo kubuka indlela lomdlalo ongakhuliswa ngayo ikakhulukazi etindzaweni letisemakhaya.
That's one of the things that I personally when I was elected, it's one of the things that I want to forward because there's a lot of potential in our country and it's not just in the private schools. The plan here for this year is to kulisa the sport in the communities where there isn't the financial well-being to start a sport like this, because like all sports you have to have some sort of money to start it. But this year I think is to introduce it into the communities that otherwise wouldn't have the ability to.
Kanzi le nhlangano lengameleli umdlalo lapha eveni iphindze yaveta ukuthi ifisile ukuthi emidlalweni ema-Olympics latako kube khona loteyo komelela live ewenda wona ema-gymnastics. Lobikela umsakati Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini eMbabane.
Mapalane lomkhulu wenhlangano lengamele umdlalo wesibhakela lapha even Nkosinathi Dlamini uthi baqeqeshi kanye netisebenzi talenhlangano titawungenela umhlangano sikolwa kulomnyaka wesifundza lesingendasi neAfrika kude kutawukhula lizinga lalomdlalo lapha even.
Uthuthukisa umdlalo wesibhakela lapha even inhlangano edlalisa lo mdlalo itimisele ukungeta lwati kutisebenti talenhlangano kanye nebaqeqeshi ukuthi bafike ezingende lacelwa inhlangano lengamele lo mdlalo emhlabeni. Mapalane lomkhulu walenhlangano Nkosinathi Dlamini uthi letisebenti kanye nebaqeqeshi batawucala kungenela imihlangano sikolwa yesifundza.
Ukuhlanganisa bokuthi bahamba bayofundza ngekusitwa ngiba sita kucala bese sizabe siqayile nyalo before ama-championships ethu batawuthi ngema-zonal games kuyaba khona bahamba bayofundza baceceshwe baliphamise lwati labo nge-refereeing and judging. Iminyaka lesiplanile ukuthi sinjalo sibe nema-workshop la sitawukhuthaza khona lelwati labanalo silipolishe sibonisane lapha nalapha ukuze bakwazi nakujajeka imidlalo sibe bede umuntu utawubafaka buta ukuthi lapha kwendeke njani avele abona ukuthi hayi uhambe kahle konke.
Kungeta lwati kubaqeqeshi kanye netisebenti kutawusita kakhulu emalungiselelo imidlalo ye-Region 5 kanye nale ema-Olympics yeminyaka lotako. Lobikile umsakati Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini kanzi umbiko uhlanganiswe nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
26 minutes after 6 debetela body indzaba tethu tesiswati namhla eksena sibahleli temakethe siyita west ocibeka nehlelo asenishini samuseltulo.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. The 17th edition of the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards are back after a 3-year break due to the COVID-19 pandemic. These awards seek to uncover and celebrate exceptional micro, small and medium enterprises that have demonstrated solid leadership and are innovative in their businesses, and as well as making meaningful contributions to society, turning those ideas into viable ventures. Zamantolo Fagutse is the acting senior manager strategy at the Small Development Enterprises. At the Small Enterprises Development Company. She joins me now to talk about this development further. Mtolo, ngikuvuselela mhlekuseni.
Siyabusela Ncumbalo.
Sikuvusile man, siyaxolisa ukuthi sikuvuse kuseni kakhulu, but nje umsebenzi lomkhulu lama awards lawa siwabonile akhula iminyaka nangeminyaka. Sayibona ke nakufika iCovid-19 kwaba khona kuthikabeteka njengato tonke nje tinhlelo kolweni, but there's a lot of excitement nyalo, and I think it's very important nasibuka ngokuthi live bosoma business libathi ngakangakanani nyalo nasibuka ukuthi niyabaqoqotela ke nesikhanza kumcwaka kakhulu. Talk to me about lama awards lawa, sikhulume nje ngale background yawo singafika kuthikabetweni iCovid-19.
Siyabonga once again Ncumbalo kuba khona namhlehlelweni. So ema-Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, Matzala vele asukele kubo 2002, nakaqala acalwa Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade. Over the years ke i-ministry bese seyi-Europa inside ukuthi sisalo siqhubeka nawo lama awards. Singisaid ke nathi we don't work alone, sisebenza nema-sponsors ethu. Our notable sponsor nje ngu-FNB Eswatini. So lama sponsors ke bona they come in ngalokuthi ngibo laba bese sebaniketa lama entrepreneurs lama prizes abo. So the thing said course under the facilitation. So ke i-purpose yalama awards kakhulu is just to recognize bosoma businesses business but khandla kakhulu. They are key role players in our communities as well as in their families, sorry. Because the main thing with the business ukuthi icala ekhaya lokuthuthukisa nje umndeni bese ke seyaphuma to the communities ukuthi seyicasha ke bantu be community. So siyakuthanda lokho kakhulu bosoma business and siyathi le effort that goes into building a business. So lama Entrepreneur of the Year Awards afuna lokuthi I recognize logo our delay effort yabosoma business from the micro level to the medium scale as well sabosoma business.
Kufika kwe-COVID-19 kunithikabethe kangakanani? I know ukuthi niyile break, but you just talk to me about the development of these initiatives. Yathi ukuthi bebakhuthatha kangakanani vele abosoma business. You just highlighted ukuthi they are key role players of businesses as well as for their families. Yeah.
Thina sengisaid as well as bosoma business bethu lesebenza nabo ibathe kugamede kakhulu i-COVID. I think iswabonile amanye ama-business having to close. Kona siyabonga lokuthi sebabuyile sebavulile labanye but nje ibashaye kakhulu bosoma business. I think the main thing ngilokuthi ukhanze ukuthi noma ngathiwa soma business abefuna lokuchubeka sebenze but nangabe kude le transportation noma ngathini le supply chain ngoba nabe affectwe COVID bokhanza ukuthi abakhona lokucupha ke ngo South Africa. Labanye ke ukhanza ukuthi ba supplier these sectors labekavaliwe njengetikolo, whether it's not just bo school uniform, maybe other things like bo catering and whatnot. If kuvaliwe letikolo kuvaliwe nje hospitality nje ngibekise nganaba labanda ama-indigenous chickens ibashaye kakhulu indzaba yekuvalwa kwemahhotela boligogo avalwa ngendzaba ye-COVID. So siwabonile nje ashayeka kakhulu emabhizinisi but we are happy ukubona uhulumende coming through with ema-funds la sita ukuthi bosomabhizinisi kube nale business recovery. So sesiyacala ukubabona ba-pick up mahhotela sekavuliwe, so sesiyayibona ne-agribusiness coming to play as well.
Yeah, and I think on that note, ubonge uhulumende ngema initiatives akhe. Just yesterday, sibonile ukuthi endlini kuphasile they adopted the Citizens Economic Empowerment Bill. Le umhlonishwa banqoba khumalo so usho kanenge ukuthi dawusita kanjani ama small businesses lapha even and as well as other businesses. Zama, let's talk about past winners. Angithi nje notable past winners. Ngikubutela ngiloku ndawubekisa nje kubo music. Nakuthiwa une Grammy Award. It opens up doors lebetingeke sawungena kuto itolo. La South Africa kunabo Summer Awards. Nangabo Casper Nyovest or the late AKA. If you have that award, you are notable and kutavuleka tiva lobetingeke tivuleke. Entrepreneur Awards la kangwane. Are they that kind of award for bosoma business?
Exactly. Anglawo ma-outs vele kahle ngoba ubekisana ngalabantu abadume kakhulu abadiwako. So nabo somabhizinisi bethu sebabe ngilabadumile angibekise njengabo Waterman nje is also one person lo wawina lama awards and I think you can see ema products akhe acishe kutotonke le titolo, which kusho kukhombisa lokuthi these are the doors la kuvulelako lo iya lokuthi nangabe sona le recognition, it's like a CV. Lokuthi soyathemba ma-customers ukuthi okay kusho ukuthi vele umkhicido wakho if has been recognized by industry leaders, which is the judging panel, kusho ukuthi you know what you are doing. Kukhona nabo mashaya inkonjane ema-butcheries akhe, they are all over the country. Baningi nje bomanzana engineering lengababala. So ngiko lokunye lesiye sigcugcudele kakhulu ukuthi somabhizinisi akajoyine because it's not just ukuthi utawina imoto noma utawina imali. Kakhulu kune recognition letakuniketa wona, which will then build your client database and set you apart from other people that are supplying the same thing as you. Lokuthi kuyabonakala ukuthi wena kusho ukuthi uyibusiness that is efficient and line sustainability, which then also attracts funders, financiers. Now, so that's one of the main things ukuthi bosoma business aba apply because of the recognition that will come with winning these awards.
Yeah, you're counting some of these things, balabo sustainability and some of the other things that you're mentioning. Engabe ngile criteria invele ngoba nginye songihlebela le criteria sala vele usitshela what is the criteria, what are you looking for kulabo soma business ngoba baningi bo soma business. Now bala lama notable past winners, I'm picking up ukuthi it's a wide, diverse range of entrepreneurs, meaning that there's room for everyone. Nalama categories and shots are wide. Talk to me about the criteria, really. Kuthi nifuna ngo.
Kusho ukuthi le competition ibukete nje bonke bomabhizinisi that fall within the MSME spectrum. So lapho ke siye sikhulume sithi nje i-turnover lecala ku-60,000 emalangeni to 8 million emalangeni. So if you are within leso spectrum leso kusho ukuthi ubitwa ngekuthi MSME la kangwane. And if you employ people from 3 to 50 people kusho ukuthi still MSME la kangwane. So sicala lapho ke thina. That also include ke kusho ukuthi ngabekisa nebamfula abama vendor as well, nebamfula abama boma handicraft, which is something also that we try to push lokuthi bosoma business bangadibukeli phasi when it comes to these awards ngoba lo ngicabanga ukuthi kusho ukuthi mina angiqualify. So thina nje sibukete if you have employees from 3 to 50 people kusho ukuthi you qualify ukuthi
to 50.
To 50.
And then the turnover uthi ngibani?
Icala ku 60,000 emalangeni to 8 million emalangeni.
Okay.
Kusho ukuthi lokho uyi SME, kusho ukuthi uyaqualify ukuthi ungajoina le competition.
Okay. So in yesteryears, now ubeka le nombolo 60k na 8 million emalangeni. Sikile sababona laba turnover le ngathi so to speak bare minimum.
Okay.
60k. But winner over laba turnover the millions.
Go possible on a regional scale because lama awards aqala regionally.
Okay.
So on a regional scale, because the competition may be very ingasiko that high, go possible and kunalama categories. For instance, ikhona nje category ma vendors. So you are competing with under vendors. Okay. So you are khona ke kuwina as vendor le perform kahle compared to the others. So by our winner, yes, they haven't won on a national scale because the competition is basically higher.
So bangilabo sonvonzima. Yeah.
Yes, but bayakhona lokuwina without their categories yama vendors, handicraft as well. So ngiko sibakhuthaza ukuthi kukhona lo tawuphuma nako. So especially lokuthi uphuma embili nje kubamfula within the same sector, if I can say that, for instance, nje labe handicraft.
Yeah. The question lena driver to kufuna kwathi i-participation level ukuthi obviously now usuqale 2002. Did you say 2002?
Yeah, 2002.
Semineng le minyaka. How is the participation level growing? Is it sustainable? Is it declining? Because the truth is gune ma barriers to entry into the business market. Masibuka nje gune lesingakhuluma ngonyalo sisibona na global recession letako. Bosoma business bawarit kakhulu. Talk to me about the participation level.
Participation iyanyuka every year. I think lama awards now sekabe more significant over the years.
Yeah.
In terms of the hosting, I think now aqala from a prime minister level. Nyaloseka at his King Majesty's level as well.
Okay.
So bantu uyabona kuyabadonsa cause kuyabakhombisa ukuthi kusho ukuthi ma awards that have a national significance. So nale participation yenyuka because bamfu bafuna, to be honest, le moto bafuna the prizes as well. So siyayibona lokuthi yenyuka lesikuzama ukuthi nesengisaid khona lokuthi sizame ukuthi we cover all our bases in terms of ukuthi kube bede bosoma business laba salela ngephandle. So lokhu nje sikwenda ukuthi siphume siye kulama small towns sifike ibe nema brand activations sitokhuluma nalabo soma business laba grassroots level kuze nabo bangasaleli ngaphandle bakhone lokuthi ba apply, which we'll be doing nje in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I think we've touched on the requirements to apply. Ngasikhathi nje ungitshela what you're looking for nale criteria yenu. I think lapho you touched on the requirements that go. How then do these people apply? Njengoba usho ukuthi ngifuna ukuthi bonke abantu ba apply. How easy is it, and how inclusive is it?
I will say it's very inclusive lokuthi sizame lokuthi sikwende kube online as a way ukuthi kube convenient for someone without mina ngize ngikhone ukuthi ngihambe ngimikise form kaSEDCO, so they can just fill it online wherever la khona khashana. But lona lo vangazothi yena akasiko well versed ngetinfo dabo internet ikhona le application form. that they can, ikhona website yethu ukuthi ungayi-downloada uyiprinte ezwela ungahamba uyicele ku-SEDCO lothi utane nawe bomanzini, Mbabane, Pick nanhlangano. Uyakhona ukuthi ufike ugcwalise leli form and then drop it ka-SEDCO as well. Siphinde siwa-distribute nabo-commercial amadoda. So we have these partners, bo-women farmer, nalapho uyakhona lokuthi ulithole. So we are trying nokuthi nje si-distribute almost everywhere so that kuthi bonke abantu bakhone ukuthi balithole.
Yeah. Utsinze indzaba na ukhuluma nangobuta ngama-requirements ladingeka ukuthi join the competition. Utsinze indzaba wathi wonke umuntu uyafuna kuyiwina le event. Ngondwe yami ngesoli lapho. Talk to me about lama prizes. I believe kusinokhuluma nge-event, it's one of the prizes. The prize range yenu iba kanjani? The prizes range, sorry. Winner from number bani and ngiphi prize lesingathi cream lama prizes now.
Okay. So naba apply lama SMEs. Siye siwabuke ukuthi okay, let's say umuntu uthide uyivenda. Bese ke seba contester as ama-vendors. The vendor ke lo winner go at on the regional level uyakhanza ukuthi uyambuna let's say 30,000 emalangeni. Kwanyalo sisenga determine ama-prizes for this year kakhulu ku-determine ngale sponsorship. Because lama different categories are sponsored by different companies.
Let's look at the past years then. Let's look. So you've spoken about 30,000 for vendors. That's we're benchmarking using my entrepreneur was before. After vendors, kunansi tekunabo handicraft as well.
Kunabo handicraft, bese sekuba na most innovative as well. Bese sekuba na youth owned business, kube na women owned business. Nabo bawina labo 40 to 50,000 emalangeni in cash.
Okay.
Le moto ke ibese is the main prize. Yona ngilele winner ngu the person that wins the national award, ukuthi entrepreneur of the year. So kucalwa ukuthi utawuphuma as a winner from the regions. Bese ke lama regional winners seka contest, the one who wins from the regional contesting ubese sekuba nguye ke lo uthola le moto.
Okay. So I want us to break it down one by one. Sit a vendor in yesteryears, we had 30,000 handicraft along those lines.
Along those lines.
Most innovative youth and women around 40.
40 to 50,000 emalangeni.
To 50.
Yes.
Great. The reason why I'm asking this, ngifuna lokubona lo ukuthi niwarenka kanjani, which one is the most important ngoba na uthi ekugcineni kubese kuba na one person lo winner the ultimate prize. Kule minyaka le ndlulele ultimate prize ivame kuqhamuka which category? Oh, yashintsha.
Ngiyashintsha nangibekisa nje ngibekise ngamashaya inkonjane is more on the agricultural in terms of labo butchery. So we've seen other personas bomanzana engineering, it's more maybe yeah. So ngiyashintsha.
So singambona na vendor awina le vendor.
Singambona na vendor if vendoring yakhe I asayithuthukisile because that's one of the things also lebuko wedako ukuthi ikhona in the growth uyabona business yakho. If you're someone who's saying ukuthi ngacala kancane maybe ngivendorisha kamanzini, now I've had other people that are vendoring in all these different small towns. Lo kuyabonakala ukuthi kusho ukuthi you are someone with vision, the business yakho iyakhula, so you can then win on a national level.
Bengisolo vele ngifuna ukuyisa ke kule mpendulo leyo zamandolo ngoba the way that you measure business expansion or the scale of a business could be in different ways, I believe. Infrastructure, number of employees, a lot of turnover, kunengakhulu. So ngiyajabula lokuva ukuthi nevenda ngoba we know the general perception yebantu nababuka event ayifane umuntu lofaka eThai njengami. Kanti ukhanze ukuthi lo muntu lo is making more money than the both of us. Yabo. So we want that to change. Ngiyathi ukuthi you also have initiatives lafana nabo cica ngebusiness as SEDCO. Ngiyafuna ukuthi sikhulume ngayo cica ngebusiness ukuthi do you see it producing people abaphinza babuye batocompete ngalana? I believe that should fulfill you guys.
Yeah, so for these awards nje database yethu icala that we tap into ngilaba kacica. So even nanyalo nje ngamathi besivala the 5th edition yacica ngebusiness. So besibachela nje laba winile ukuthi nyalo ke you apply for the entrepreneur of the year awards, especially because gacija nje sesiyanaka lokuthi kakhulu kungena le youth kwina le youth, and it would be so great to see ukuthi this year kuwina a youth owned enterprise the overall prize because sibabonile bawina on the regional scale but sengaye sambona like umfulo youth awina on the national scale. So bocija ngebusiness nje it's one of the database that we tap into.
Okay, so sangena ngayo sakhuluma ngayo youth ngiyathi ukuthi ukukhumbula inombolo okuvame kuba yento lelikhuni. I've interviewed so many people but ngiyakuthemba Zamandolo ngiphi inombolo man, even if it's an estimate ukuthi nanibuka le participation ye youth kulama initiatives eno masingathi nje siyibekisa ngepercentage seyigrowe kangakanani kufuna ngabe seyigrowile. The reason why I'm asking this is because hulumende nakathi we are looking at post COVID-19 economic resuscitation or recovery. Uthide umvlomusha because of the unemployment rate leshacisako yabantu labasha yaphetha kakhulu 1 in 2 abasebenzi. Wathi lokhu kungasombululwa ukuthi abantu labasha baqale amabhizinisi. So we see a lot of initiatives, UNDP, but kakhulu Setco simbonile because you've been active for all these years. It's growing, the youth participation. Talk to me, if you can come up with numbers, that would be perfect.
Okay, maybe to be honest, I can't quantify it right now, but iyakhula the participation, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I think it's for the past 2 editions, there hasn't been anyone lowinile that is over the age of 35.
Wow.
Onke lama businesses that we've
Over
had
the past
2 editions,
Really?
this year and last year,
Yeah.
there haven't been anyone lowinile that was over the age of 35. Which means lokuthi those are youth-owned enterprises. So siyayibona lokuthi iyakhula. I think something worth mentioning ukuthi i-challenge lesibana wena abantu labasha they give up too early with my business up. So labanye bayaqala and then once it gets hard bese sebayekela. Kanti business is like anything, any adventure in life. Ukuthi iba khona le failure, you just have to keep going.
Especially
Exactly.
Yeah.
So bayazama abantu labasha lokuwacala siyababona ba-participate but then lokuthi singaweve ama-success stories lokuthi kusena lo moya ukuthi they then give up. Yes.
2 of the past 2 editions of Cijanga Business have been less than 35 years old.
Yes.
Right. What businesses are they running in terms of categories?
That's the most interesting thing. Look, it's agribusiness. That's the key thing. I think in the last year, bang 3 that were involved in agribusiness. Labanyu kanza ukuthi even before bawine bocija se bawine nabo women farmer competition as well. So in the agribusiness nje sibona kakhulu, and we've seen different programs now that have to do with agribusiness. Participation abantu labasha iningi kakhulu, and it's worth noting as well ukuthi ngilaba lokhanze ukuthi baphuma lapha eLiyengo, which I really would like to applaud i-University of Eswatini eLiyengo lokuthi ngathi kucala lesikolweni sengibuka le consistency lokuthi maybe bayiphusha le sikolweni le message ukuthi when you leave just go and start your own farm.
Yeah, as usaba uploader ngiyafuna siphinde siba implore ukuthi baqhubeke, we need more of them ukuthi baticale ama business. The reason why I'm saying this, ngiyakhumbula nje ukuthi chairperson, is it chairperson or TSC, Mr. Mahlale, I'm not too sure, but I stand to be corrected. Ukilo bacucutela abantu labasha, as much as you know kwathatheka kabi kulabanye nakathi they should start businesses. We really need that. Yeah, lokuthi abantu labasha bawaqale ema business, and bantu baseLiyengo siyababona vele. I have a brother nami who graduated khona, he's doing really well agriculture. Kulama entrepreneur awards so vetile ukuthi cisha business kuvuna lo agribusiness. Uwine kangakanani agribusiness ngala? Ngifuna kuyibona le trend. I want us to study this trend carefully.
Simgatsile this year, but usengakake nje wawina apart from Mashaya Ngonjane lesingathi because une butchery is on the agricultural side of things, but nje umuntu lesingazi ukuthi uyalima sisengakake sambona. But nje personally I know so many people that are doing very well in farming, so siyathemba ukuthi sitababona mhlambe bawina because I think agribusiness nje la kaNgwane is now the main thing.
It definitely is, and indvuna yelitiko letekulima ihlala igcizelela yona indzaba yokuthi yabo bantu baka agribusiness, it's not just for their own sustenance and sustainability, it also trickles down to a value chain lekhanza kusine level yasitakala in terms of food security lapha eveni. Siyababona ukuthi bantu bayaqasheka nani, but lokho umcwa kakhulu ukuthi ne level igcine lizuza lapho umnotho ube ngulo Kusile. Zama, thank you so much for joining us lomhla ekseni. Angeke ngikunike lithuba lekungeta anything else. I've asked you everything that I wanted to ask you, and I believe that you gave me accurate answers.
Thank you so much.
Zama Ndolo Fagutse u representer ke baka Setco usitshela nje kabandi entrepreneur of ngicela kubuyela kuzama kancane Zama siphe ama dates alama awards. It's very important.
Okay, sisengakabi nawo ema dates of the regional awards yet. So angeke ngikhone kwaveta nyalo but i-date lengacela kuyiveta i-date ekuvala ama-applications which is 5 May.
Okay.
So ngiyacela ukuthi ama-entrepreneurs that are interested ba-make sure ukuthi by 5 May ama-forms sebawagcwalisile sebasendele futhi.
So they have more or less 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks. So ngolelo muhle so uselele nje amaviki lamabili ukuthi applyele ama-Entrepreneur Awards emnyaka wa 2023. Siyacicela ke lo ukuthi ningene kuleli khasi labo la it's your website, the website yakaSETCO where you can get lel form. There's also a digital way of applying. Kuthi ni apply ningenele nanka ema-awards lese kabachazile zama ukuthi amcwana kanganani. Sibahlola emakethe masibuya sichubeka nelihlelo.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo eveni. Kulapho kukuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bomcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yebantfu. Siphindze sibuke tindlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sivele sihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Nene bekunene kusetandleni tesive kuthi imimango ingagcini kukampunzi edla emini. Sive sakangwane nebantu labakhethe kuhlala Eswatini abaphile ngekukhululeka nekuthi kubethe lo nyathelo lilungelo lalabanye egameni lekufuna lilungelo lakhe. Sive asikhumbule ukuthi emaphoyisa bomake nabobabe labatinikele kwenta siqiniseko ukuthi wonke umuntu lonempahla yakhe ingacekelwa phansi ngulomunye. Wonke umuntu akahlale ngekuthula nangaphandle kokwesaba tintwe letingatiwa. Emaphoyisa ngekulandzela nekushiqilela umthetho athi into yemuntu ayibe ngeyakhe umuntu. Sive asijinge siwabambise siphinde siwasekele emaphoyisa emsebentini wawo. Kude emalungelo aso sive osomabhizinisi kanye nebantu labasebentako anganyatheleki. Khona-ke imimango itawukwakha nemakhaya akhulise bantwana ngaso sandla lesiya emlonyeni. Emaphoyisa naso sive abasebente ngebudlelwane nangekubambisana kulwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco.
Kuseleke imizuzu lesihlanu ukuthi kubumbane insimbi yesikhombisa lomhla ekuseni Sikhathanyalo-ke besiyaye sichumane nemaphoyisa embubene sive lasi-update-a-ke ukuthi isimo sikanjani emigwacweni sibita-ke nge-traffic update ngenhlanhla lempi-ke lo muhla solo siyedama kuchumana nabo lucingo solo liphelela-ke emoyeni sathi ukuthi-ke engxenye solo babhisi kakhulu emigwacweni but nje kucolisa kakhulu esiveni sakangwana ukuthi lamuhla sikhoni kunipha i-traffic update sitawubahlola emakethe uma sibuya sitawuthatha indzaba lechamuka ngephandle walapha eveni.
Using an ATM is a simple process. You simply insert your card, punch in your PIN, and withdraw your cash. However, this simple process can open up you and your finances to some dangers. So it is very important that you proceed with caution when using the ATM and never share your PIN. When approaching the ATM, it is very important that you have your card ready, either in your hand or in your pocket, so that you do not waste time going through your belongings, either your wallet or your handbag, as this will give opportunities for thieves to act. Thirdly, put your money away immediately. Don't give anyone an opportunity to grab your cash or your card after a withdrawal. Lastly, always take your receipt after each and every transaction. It is important that you get your slip after every transaction because it contains crucial information about your balances, and that may lead you to be a victim of bolandela. Be cyber aware, be cyber smart.
Welcome back and good morning once again. Let's take a look at our international news. Outspoken Kremlin critic Vladimir Kara-Murza was jailed for a quarter of a century by a Moscow court on Monday, the harshest sentence of its kind since Russia invaded Ukraine, after it found him guilty of treason and other offenses he denied.
It's a sentence which has outraged the international community. On Monday, Russian journalist and Kremlin critic Vladimir Kara-Murza was sentenced to 25 years in a high-security prison. He was convicted for treason and spreading misinformation after he criticized Russia's war in Ukraine. A verdict which was vividly criticized by opposition figure Alexei Navalny.
I was deeply outraged by the sentence delivered against Vladimir Kara-Murza today. He got 25 years. I think that Vladimir Kara-Murza is being persecuted for political reasons. I consider it to be unlawful, shameless, and simply fascist.
The sentence was also condemned by the EU, who says this was a politically motivated miscarriage of justice.
This is unacceptable. This is yet another demonstration by Russian authorities of the political misuse of judiciary in order to pressure activists, human rights defenders, and any voices opposing Russia's illegal aggression against Ukraine.
After the verdict, one of his attorneys, speaking at a conference, said his client was a political prisoner, saying the verdict was political revenge from the Kremlin.
So it's necessary to claim that the criminal case against him was nothing to do with justice from the beginning. It was absolutely unlawfully initiated, absolutely unlawfully investigated.
Swift condemnation also came from Western ambassadors to Russia, such as Britain, Canada, or the US. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova blasted the diplomats, implying they could be summoned to the ministry so that they remember what diplomats should and should not do.
Air France and plane manufacturer Airbus were acquitted on Monday over the 2009 crash of a Rio-Paris flight after a French court ruled their errors could not be proven as the disaster's cause.
14 years later, and finally a verdict in the trial over the crash of Air France Flight 447 from Rio to Paris. Judges cleared Air France and plane manufacturer Airbus of involuntary manslaughter, but they said they bore civil responsibility for the accident, a decision that brings more confusion than closure for the victims' families.
They used the word responsible, and they said Airbus and Air France made errors, and many of them, and yet they are acquitted. I find it very difficult to understand my country's judicial system.
Lawyers representing the families of the victims said the verdict would do nothing to end their ordeal.
It's hard to understand for the families. It's torture. But what we should take from this is that Airbus and Air France were found responsible, no matter the nuance between criminal and civil.
Air France issued a statement saying it takes note of the ruling. It will always remember the victims of this terrible accident and expresses its deepest sympathy to all of their loved ones. On the 1st of June 2009, the Airbus A330 crashed into the sea off the coast of Brazil, killing all 228 people on board. It was Air France's worst ever accident. The official investigation found that several factors contributed, including pilot error and the icing over of external sensors called pitot tubes, which have since been removed from planes. The families of the victims can still appeal the court's decision.
Over 500 firefighters are working to contain France's first major forest fire of the year, which has ripped through parts of the country's southern border with Spain. Rescue services said the biggest flames have been extinguished. The blaze erupted on Sunday and burned on 1,000 hectares of land.
It's the first major forest fire of the year. This blaze in southern France erupted on Sunday. It burned hundreds of hectares of land on the French Mediterranean coast before spreading across the border into Spain. France's interior minister was at the scene. He boiled the early fire down to climate change.
These fires are being accelerated by global warming and by the fact that this department hasn't seen rain for 5 months.
France is on course to experience an even drier summer than the record drought it suffered last year. That's because groundwater levels, that's the water that is stored in the ground and prevents it from drying out, are at a record low. According to a recent report, 80% of groundwater levels in the country are below normal levels. This winter, France experienced its longest ever dry spell. Because of the lack of rainfall, farmers had to water land themselves, which only worsened the situation. French President Emmanuel Macron has called for new water-saving measures and has said that all sectors should decrease their water usage by 10% by 2030.
The European Union is in a standoff with member states Poland, Hungary and Slovakia after they announced bans on grain imports from neighboring Ukraine. Last year's waiver on tariffs from the EU lowering prices for local farmers. In the case of Poland, those farmers are usually big supporters of the ruling party.
After seeing its market flooded with Ukrainian agricultural goods, Warsaw is putting its foot down. No more Ukrainian grain is to enter the country.
The government has decided to ban the import of grain into Poland, along with dozens of other agricultural products.
This includes eggs, milk, meat and sugar. Although Turkey brokered a deal with Russia allowing ships carrying grain to leave through Ukraine's southern Black Sea ports, there is a significant export backlog, favouring exports across its European land borders. But it's forcing down the price of Polish produce. Farmers came out in protest on Wednesday, demanding urgent measures.
This Ukrainian grain and other products are going to end up excluding us from the market, even though they were produced according to different standards and at different costs, and the EU is just letting it happen.
Hungary also announced a similar ban on Saturday. This comes after a letter to the European Commission last month, signed by Poland, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria and Slovakia, asking them to consider tariffs. Kiev has responded to Poland's announcement, saying they understood the difficulty for Polish farmers, but the situation is even harder for their own. Also saying that Poland's ban went against existing bilateral agreements. In making the announcement, Warsaw added that they were ready to enter into talks and that they remain unchanged friends and allies of Ukraine. Since the beginning of the war, Poland has sent a great deal of military aid and taken in more than 1 million Ukrainian refugees.
While Turkey nearing hotly contested presidential elections in May, international rights groups are condemning a crackdown on independent media that have challenged the incumbent president's control of the mainstream media.
The 9 news portal, with its nationwide network of reporters, is one of the growing number of independent media platforms covering Turkey's presidential elections in May. In previous polls, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan had a tight grip on media coverage, but not anymore.
The opposition media or the independent media have grown and increased their sphere of influence. I can even say that in terms of the number of viewers on election day, the audience and the followers of independent organizations will be much more than mainstream media. Thus, the effort of the government to establish a monopoly failed. They lost.
But the government-controlled Media Regulatory Authority is stepping up its fines on independent media stations, prompting condemnation by 20 international media and freedom of expression watchdogs.
If there is a duty of regulation, this should be not weaponized against a critical TV station before these crucial elections.
The government denies a charge of partisanship by the regulatory authority. Independent stations like Hulk TV say fines have become a part of doing business and warn the real threat is closure ahead of elections next month.
In our broadcasts, they can always find a reason for a penalty, a sentence, an interview, or a statement. And that is why we are always on alert. We are always in expectation. Managers and fellow journalists are responsible for keeping this channel open. We are responsible for preventing a penalty that will close this channel down.
Despite the risk of closure and fines, stations like Hulk have drawn large audiences, covering events like February's deadly earthquake, when it reported on government shortcomings, some of which Erdogan acknowledged. Analysts say such coverage has helped build independent media's reputation ahead of elections for fair but critical coverage.
We wouldn't be hearing about the incapacity of the government had there not been the new voices of the media. They really did good reporting, and good reporting is enough in itself. It doesn't have to be just voicing the narrative of the opposition or giving a voice to opposition politicians. But it's just reflecting what's happening on the ground, and that's really important for the election night as well.
New independent media TV channels have been launched in the run-up to the polls, with many reporters who quit the industry returning to help cover an election that all sides claim is one of the most important in the Turkish Republic's history.
The election campaign will officially start 30 days before the election. However, the faces of some candidates are already being displayed in the streets of Kinshasa. Civil society is mobilizing against these posters, which are outside the legal framework.
Phones in hand, they raid the streets of Messina.
Sometimes we do this all day.
The electoral campaign is yet to start, and these activists are already tackling what they consider a major issue in the country's capital, fly posting.
Some politicians have taken the registration period as a green light to start their election campaign. It's illegal.
In just one day and on one single road, the group took pictures of at least 10 signs.
Here's another campaign poster. We're here to identify those people and to note down their names as well as the political party they belong to.
They will then share the data with all civil society members who take part in this census. It's a collective effort to make public authorities accountable.
We will pass on all the information we've gathered to the Electoral Commission. We want the Commission to do its utmost to bar all the candidates who launched illegal, premature campaigns from running in the elections.
For the CENI, the Congolese Independent Electoral Commission, these are not campaign ads, and those politicians aren't calling for the population to vote for them. They are, in fact, encouraging the Congolese to enroll. The Commission, however, has admitted that the signs can create a level of confusion made worse by an absent legal framework.
The law is very clear on the time frame for presidential, national, and provincial elections. Candidates can start campaigning 30 days before polls open and must stop 24 hours before voting starts. But what if someone flouts that regulation and campaigns outside that time frame? The law is silent.
The Congolese electoral campaign is set to start at the end of the year, with the presidential election scheduled for December.
Gun battles, airstrikes and shelling shook Sudan's embattled capital on Monday in a third day of heavy fighting between the army and a powerful rival force for control of the country as the weekend civilian death toll rose to 97. Rapid sustained firing was heard near the military headquarters in central Khartoum, a key battle zone since fighting began, and white smoke rose from the area. Residents hunkering down in their homes reported power outages and incidents of looting.
Explosions rock Sudan's capital, Khartoum, for the third day, as the violent power struggle between the National Army and the RSF paramilitary group continues. Millions of civilians are caught in the crossfire. They're forced to stay at home, but even there, they're unsafe. Ahmed is an engineer in Khartoum. His family was sleeping when a shell hit their home.
I was asleep. Suddenly, I heard a lot of big sounds, like bullets, rockets. I can't leave the house. Very dangerous outside. The military is everywhere.
Medics warn that the fighting is making it too dangerous to transport many casualties to hospital. On Sunday, both sides held a temporary ceasefire to allow the wounded to be evacuated. But it's not clear how strictly they stuck to it.
The conflict will certainly affect many people's lives, including our medical team. We have been told to stay inside our camp. All roads are closed. There is a great deal of concern about the situation.
Fighting has also erupted outside the capital, including in the troubled western Darfur region. Both sides say they have control of key sites, including the airport and the presidential palace, and both blame each other for the fighting. The military has been in charge of Sudan since a coup in 2021, when it worked with the RSF. But plans to integrate the paramilitary group into the army have led to tensions between both leaders, Al-Burhan and Hemeti. A chorus of international voices has called for dialogue and a permanent end to the violence. But for now, the two generals appear in no mood for talks.
The fighting in Sudan comes after years of political unrest since military coup in October 2021. It also follows months of escalating tensions between two generals, one the leader of Sudan's army and the other of Sudan's biggest parliamentary group, the Rapid Support Forces.
They had maintained an awkward alliance since the 2021 coup. But the rivalry between Sudan's de facto head of state and his deputy has now boiled over, following tensions over how their respective forces should be integrated.
We want to build armed forces that respect the norms of democratic regimes.
General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan is head of the regular army, a career soldier from northern Sudan who rose the ranks under Omar al-Bashir's three-decade rule. In 2019, he was sworn in as Sudan's interim leader to steer the country towards democracy after Bashir's overthrow. But in October 2021, he dissolved the Joint Military-Civilian Council. At the time, he had the support of Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, better known as Hemedti. Hemedti came from more humble origins as a camel trader, but is now one of Sudan's richest men, deputy head of state, and commander of the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary.
I'm a simple Bedouin man who grew up on the sidelines of Sudan and did not get anything from my country except violence.
Much of Hemedti's power is derived from his dreaded RSF paramilitary, which he formed after taking up arms in the war in Darfur. He's played a prominent role in Sudan's politics for 10 years, first as a close ally of President Bashir, before helping to topple him in 2019.
Every person should take their rights. If people don't take their rights, we will not advance.
Hemedti and Burhan have jockeyed for international support since coming to power. While Hemedti has cozied up to Saudi Arabia, Burhan has normalized relations with Israel and repeatedly appealed to neighbor Egypt for assurances of support. The two men's rivalry has sabotaged popular aspirations for democracy and destabilized a country already dealing with economic breakdown.
For many people who have emigrated to the United States, helping their native countries is a big part of their lives. Recently, a group of East Africans gathered to discuss ways to assist those that are back home.
You want to go with it, and then
in a two-day event organized by the UN International Organization for Migration, or IOM, East African ambassadors to the U.S. and leaders from the diaspora community discussed ways to contribute to the economic development of their home countries. One of the speakers was Robi Kakenji, the Ugandan ambassador to the U.S.
It is really, really important that we continue to be engaged, because through that engagement is where you now get mentorship. It's where you now get social connections. But more importantly, it's how you begin to understand your role as being a citizen of this country, but also being a citizen of where you come from.
Lemma Waldesembet, a professor of finance at the University of Maryland, says it's about more than just sending money back home.
Those of us in the diaspora have left that region, but the region has not left us. So this is a mechanism for us to giving back. We give back just not money, but also capacity building, technical assistance, and get connected so that we help develop where we came from and impact livelihood.
Many attendees say one goal is to give workers in their home countries the skills that employers need. Jerono Rotich, an associate dean for belonging, diversity, and inclusion at Indiana University, is one of many Kenyan diaspora members who travels home to give back. As a founder of a Kenyan Students in Diaspora Foundation, Rotich said her organization took teachers back to Kenya to work with universities, mentor graduate students, and help curriculum development. But it's not always an easy job.
So they look at you very skeptical, as if you want to take over their positions, especially those in leadership. I'm like, no, I'm just here to help. I'm just here to empower, because I see the opportunities that are outside.
The International Organization for Migration has been helping the Somali government on a national diaspora policy, which is slated to be ratified this year. The policy is intended to unify and mobilize Somali diaspora networks to help rebuild the nation. Saida Shaiya works for Somalia's foreign ministry. Shaiya says the new policy will bring new skills and investments to Somalia.
So I am an example of that. I grew up in America, and I went back to Somalia because Somalia needs someone like me who has the skills, who understands the issues, who can contribute in so many different levels.
Participants said that with continued support and investment, the African diaspora has the potential to be a powerful force for change and progress on the continent.
We bring our attention now to Africa, where in Kenya is using the launch of its first operational observation satellite to promote space education and science through space clubs and schools. Kenya launched an operational 3U nanosatellite April 15 aboard the SpaceX Falcon 4 base in the United States. Here's a look.
The satellite images that we're seeing over here, it's that right now there's a lot of fragmented land.
Students at St. Scholastica Catholic School in Nairobi explore space technology applications. The learners are members of the school's Space Science Club, an extension of an educational program established by Kenya's Space Agency to promote space education. The students were asked to study their local town.
So the information that the satellite images are telling us between
13-year-old Ryan Gauna says participating in this club has sparked his interest in engineering.
Electrical engineering, when it comes to setting up the satellites, or maybe even rockets. So that, these are now baby steps, especially from the nanotech that was released in 2018. So from that, I really want to try and do something bigger than what's happening today.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
Kenya's Taifa 1 satellite, which means Nation 1 in Swahili, is the first operational satellite the country has launched this year aboard the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket in the U.S. state of California. In 2018, Kenya stepped into space with the launch of its first nano satellite called CubeSat. Authorities with Kenya Space Agency say they are reaching out to young students to encourage them to consider a future in the space technology.
The conversation that has been happening within the education sector is that many people are not taking science or technology-related subjects, and these are the subject that feeds into the space sector. And we are keen to have them early enough to understand the potential and the opportunities that the sector presents for them.
At least 30 schools have enrolled in the outreach programs, and the agency says it plans to add space technology learning to more school curricula.
With the science and technology, there is investment that has been done in that curriculum for coding. We now have coding in grade 4, 5, 6, and now in grade 7, which is the junior secondary, they have come up with computer studies as an optional subject.
The observation satellite Taifa 1 will be used to provide data on agriculture and food security, among other areas. It was designed and developed by Kenyan engineers like Maureen Wanjiru.
It is exciting and being part of innovative and creative ideas that push, that make an impact in our country in terms of climate change, in terms of agriculture, forestry.
Entirely funded by the Kenyan government, the Taifa 1 satellite was manufactured and tested in collaboration with a Bulgarian aerospace manufacturer. The launch marks the latest push by African nations to boost space innovation and development.
Now, for more on space innovation, billionaire Elon Musk's SpaceX will carry out the first test flight of Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built from the spaceport in Boca Chica in Texas, later on Monday. The vessel is designed to send astronauts to the moon, Mars, and even beyond, with the ultimate goal of putting humankind on the path to being a multi-planet civilization. Here's a look.
Hey. He dreams of putting humans on the path of being a multi-planet civilization.
And we're aiming for rapid reusability.
Reusability is a long-term goal to bring down the cost of space travel dramatically. Elon Musk's SpaceX Starship is designed to send astronauts to the moon and Mars.
It's going to be a real game changer, just because of its scale, because of its economics, and because of its capabilities. All three of those reasons will really change what we do in space. It'll be able to take a lot more people. So SpaceX is hoping to carry humans to much further distances inside our solar system.
Starship is the biggest rocket ever built. It's 120 meters in height, the equivalent of a 30-story building. It is significantly bigger than an Ariane 5 rocket and taller than NASA's Saturn V, which was used to send astronauts to the moon 5 decades ago. 33 Raptor engines were test-fired successfully in February. The vessel could lift as much as 250 tons and, in theory, accommodate 100 people on a trip to Mars. For this demo, there will be no landing. Everything will fall into the sea. This is a risky flight. Musk has said that if it gets into orbit, that will be a success.
Here's a lighter story. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States. It's simple and can be played in small spaces, so popular with all age groups. Let's take a look.
Pickleball, indoors and outdoors, this paddle sport is growing across America. The number of pickleball players in the US grew by 159% between 2020 and 2022, according to the Sports and Fitness Industry Association. That totals nearly 9 million players. The hype is real, says Helen White, with the American Pickleball Association for Northern Virginia and Washington.
I just finished a week where I taught 15 classes, and that would be about 90 students. My youngest was about 7, my oldest was probably in their 80s. The courts are too crowded. When you have 20, 30, 40 people waiting to play on a court, that tells you something.
Pickleball is a kind of hybrid of tennis, ping pong and badminton. The court is 2 times smaller than tennis courts, the net is low and the ball moves much slower. Real estate professionals say more residential complexes are adding pickleball courts to attract buyers.
It doesn't take much financially to create a pickleball court. It's a lot cheaper than putting in a pool, a lot cheaper than maintaining a clubhouse, things like that. So it's financially viable, financially attractive, and more and more people get involved in it.
But there is one problem. When the paddle hits the ball, it makes a loud, whacking noise. Recently in Chicago, people living next door to a park with a pickleball court created a petition demanding that the court be removed. One of the signatories, John T., who wished to remain anonymous, told VOA that he lives with his wife and 2 daughters near the park.
Sometimes I feel trapped, like it's a beautiful day out, it's 70 degrees out, and we have our windows shut. And we can still hear it through the windows. We can't even take a nap. It's just relentless.
In an email to Voice of America, pickleball player Lisa Davis fought back, saying, quote, "This is not a children's park. It is ruled by the city of Chicago as a public park for all residents, regardless of race, age, or gender, to use." To help solve the problem, engineer Bob Anitich founded Pickleball Sound Mitigation, a company that researches and advises communities on ways to quiet the game. Anitich himself, an avid player and a qualified pickleball referee, has already worked with more than 100 clients from the United States, Canada, and Europe.
So we began to study paddles and balls to reduce the sound level of paddles and balls by selecting quieter equipment. We can look at sites all over the US and in other countries on Google Earth and look at the distances to homes, and we can recommend different kinds of barriers that might be used to reduce the sound level.
What's clear is that pickleball isn't going away.
29 minutes after 7, with that pickleball story, we mark the end of our international news for the day. We take an ad break with Simo Seltulu Masbuya Lungelele sits down with Sihlang Uchele, who is the marketing officer with the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund. Don't go away.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3# and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. Asikuvusele nawo losanza kuzivulelala mhlahleni Kusile breakfast show. It's a Tuesday morning. Besivutele ukuthi lamhlekiseni isitaba esikhuluma kabantu ngetindzaba temabhizinisi ikakhulukazi nje sibuka abamflabasha nekusungula kwabo emabhizinisi. Besivutele ukuthi isitaba esikhulumisana nalosuka esikhwameni i-Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund. Sikhwama ke lesi sahulumende lesisekela ngetimali bamflabasha labaneminyaka lesuka ku-18 iye ku-35. Lesikhwama ke sihlose ukuthi sinciphise lizinga lebantflabasha labede umsebenzi ngekubavulela emathuba ukuthi batisungulele emabhizinisi abo njengaloko nje lizinga lebamflabasha lapha eveni labede umsebenzi as of 2019 lime ku 46.22%. Kanti ke sukela ngeminyaka wa 2018 kuya ku 2023 lesikhwama sesi approve ema loans lafika ku 15.3 million emalangeni. Kuleyo process leyo nje emabhizinisi lesakhona ukuthi afinance angedulu kwa 200 imisebenzi lesayakhe engedulu kwa 600 to be precise ingu 640. In the studio sasivele sinaye marketing and communications officer Sihlangu Jele lesuka khona kulesikhwama sifuna kumkhulumisa nje kabandisa ukuthi kulamaviki landlulile solo bavakashela tinkhundla ezihlukahlukene kuyofundisa nje bamflabasha ekakhulukazi labo labede imisebenzi ngadoda emabhizinisi. Sifuna ukuvaka abantu ukuthi basavakashela leto tinkhundla bakhanze ukuthi bamflabasha ngomaphi amakhono labanawo sadeke ukuthi nawo kulamalanga sebamemetele ukuthi bantu labakhonile noma ke abantu labatawuzuza ngeso lesikhama ukuthi bakhona ukuthola imali bangu 13. Sifuna ukukhulumisana naye kabandi Sihlangu Jele ukuva kabani nje ngayo le procedure lena ukuthi yi process lethatha isikhathi lesinganani ukuthi ibona labamflaba labasha batawuzuza kanganani ngeso lesikhama. Sikuvusele simakhulu Jele ukuthi ube nathi lo mhlahlelweni. I think sengivide nje kafishane ukuthi vele nisikhwama umgomo lomkhulu wena ukuthi vele nesitha abamflabasha ngadoda imali ukuthi bakhone ukucala lawo mabhizinisi abo. Ngiyakhumbula ukuthi minister bekayakhala kakhulu Sihlangu ukuthi bamflabasha bahlale baveta ama business ideas lafanako njalo ngesikhathi ngabe vele mhlambe over nje the past cycles kukhona indlo mohluko lo yeleni ubonako nasibonje mhlambe variety yema business ideas bamflabasha labawavetako.
Sibonge Mthombeni. Ngicela nje ngikubonga le lithuba lenisinike lona kusinvite la breakfast show Eswazi TV. Ngiphinze ke ngivusele umbukeli ekhaya. Sine Sing Youth Fund lesesikubonile ukuthi lesikhwama siyakhona kusida le youth yethu yala kaNgwane. Lesirealizile ukuthi lama business lebesolo sifafanda lalo sesiyayibona le variation. Ngibekise nje sekukhona labangena kwa under ICT, kukhona labangena kuma logistics, all along bekusolo kulida i-agribusiness. Angisho ukuthi le-agribusiness seyehlile lizinga layo solo iyachubeka iyakhula le-agribusiness because lesikubonile ukuthi i-agribusiness kulula lokuyifanda because yona i-viable ngalokuthi there's always a need for food in the country. So kusenta ke sibe kube lula thina se-Youth Fund ukuthi sifande lama agribusiness. So sengibuya kule question yakho ke Mthombeni yekuthi lama business ahlukahlukene kangaki lesiwafanda ko se-Youth Fund. Lesikubonile previously ukuthi i-ICT even though kuba khona lawo ma-challenges la khona because ise-industry lekhulako. Yes, information age, but isayibona i-ICT iyazama lokusindlondlobale nayo in the country. Ngingasho nje lokhu kahle kahle nakhona emabhizinisi khona lesi sicelo siwafunda under ICT. But still le leader only agribusiness ngalokuthi yona i-viable. Then logistics now siyaqhubeka siyayifunda in the country. Ngicela nje kugcina lapho Thombeni.
All right, so Sisinbonile, I think beni posta kakhulu kuma social media pages enu, ni just calling out on the youth ukuthi babe part of lama business clinics lapho khona nibafundzisa ngato tema business ukuthi business bangayisungula kanjani, sabayisungulile mhlambe bangayenda bengena siqiniseko sesinganani ukuthi mhlambe lawa business abo aba sustainable. I think ngaba kuva nje I participation yayo I youth kitole tindzawo lentivakashele ngaba vele mhlambe tinombolo betinijabulisa vele ahambe kanjani nje mhlambe lawo ma business clinics lebensona nichubeka nawo.
Ngiyabonga Mthombeni. Ngidawuqala nje ngibonga lokuthi niyalandzela kula ma pages ethu aka social media. Lesikurealizile kula ma business clinics ukuthi letinombolo tiyakhula lezama ukuthi reach. Lama business clinics langaswenda partnership nalamanye ama-organizations, ama-NGOs, ama-parastatals, nalamanye nje ama-government institutions. Sizathu salokhu lokuthi siformishe le partnership yekwenta ama-business clinics. Sibuka lokuthi kuze sitokhona ukuthi si-reach more kwaleti number of the youth. Because lamanye ama-partners ethu nawo adila nale youth. But ukhanze ukuthi wona avela le side labo HIV and AIDS, social improvement, behavioral factors, society. But ukhanze ukuthi le entrepreneurship ne business ukhanze usipayithepha kancane. So thina sesipitcha ke kule partnership yethu ngalokuthi thina sitawukhona lokuthi sikhulumise lenzaba entrepreneurship as youth fund. Lesikubonile ke Thombeni ukuthi sisendela ama business clinics. I-target yethu besifuna ukuthi sitap into 500 we youth. So far nyalo 300. Siyofika 300. So lengakusho nje ukuthi le nombolo right now tiyasijabulisa ngalokuthi siyaqhubeka siya engage nalama partners ethu and futhi siyaqhubeka siyakhona we-reach le youth yethu. So ngicabanga sistawu phenze sibuye la msakatweni sitosho ukuthi kahle kahle seyihambe kanganani le ma business clinics mhlambe nasibuya invite la msakatweni. But lengakusho nje ukuthi iyasijabulisa le participation ye youth. Kuma sustainable development goals bekune request ukuthi kufuna senda inclusive participation sibafake nabo female gender because lesibona ukuthi le participation yawo nasibuka nama states ethu okanza ukuthi banqane bosisi compared to bobhuti laba apply life funding. So we want to encourage the female gender ukuthi nayo ichubeke apply for funding because sifuna kubona lizinga likhuphuka kubosisi laba apply life funding.
Yeah, seselapho nje tinzabe ne participation so vedile ukuthi kubonibona kwangathi the female gender nayo isalela emuva. I think nasibuka nje indzaba ye inclusive bamla bakhubatekile ngabe vele mhlambe bona level of interest yabo inganani niyabacocotela ukuthi nabo abaveli bethu abantu apply life funding basungula ama business abo bayavela yini mhlambe kula ma business clinics leni wabambako.
Ngiyabonga Mthombeni. Okay, lebesinako kulesikhathi lesi besizama kuyikhulumisa indzaba ye ma disadvantaged groups. Kuthi lesikubonile ukuthi ukhanze ukuthi bona abakhona kudala lama meetings ethu lema communities. So sizamati indlela tekubona ukuthi bangasidakala kanjani. Lengathanda nje ukuveta ukuthi leyo isesetafuleni sesazama ukuthi siyikhokase as a company, I mean as an organization. So ngicela nje ukuveta lokusikwanyalo kahle kahle sisazama lokubuka indlela ukuthi singabasita kanjani. Kona vele it's true bathi ngale lokuthi siba reach nabo as a group lemcoka ku economic development. So sizazama ngathi tonke indlela ukuthi sibone ukuthi bangasedakala kanjani nabo. And we are willing to ukuthi siba assist nabo.
Alright. So still on lama business clinics, ngifuna kuva nje, you know, the feel of mamlabasha nanisa abafundzisa ngato lete amabhizinisi le ntshisekelo niyayibona yini vele lokuthi vele bayayifuna le mvele bayafuna kufunza. I think mhlambe nokuva nje ukuthi kuba into ikhalo tabo labadivetako mhlambe in terms of nasibuka nje Donatins abathi ukuthi solo vele imisebenzi ayitholakali na amabhizinisi abakhona kwacala ngenxa yebabede imali bakhala kanje kakhulu yini abakuvetako kini as sikhwama mhlambe labafisa ukuthi nikuthuthukise in the future.
Ngiyabonga Thombeni. All along beku dikhalo tekuthi nje le funding process ayisiko clear nalokuthi bayaphutela abanye khanze ukuthi babe ne kuba ukuthi siba respond, which means besawe kule feedback mechanism as youth fund, because bonela abaningi bakhala ukuthi abakhona ukuthi baphendule on time. So lesikwendile so far youth fund ku address le concern leyo. All along bese ifunding yethu beyendiwa in cycles, but nyalo esikushinjile ukuthi say continuous, which means say run continually. You can apply it any time for funding. So lokho kuyasitha lokuthi singatoba miss abantu labanengi ukuthi ba access funding. Sikhona ukuthi siba accommodate iningi lebantu ngesikhathi lesifisha. So siyazama lokho address lama concerns lango. Kule participation yama business clinics, I think ngilesikhala lesengizivetile leso lesikhi kakhulu. Lokunye nje lokuthi banenkinga lokundlondlobalisa lama projects apho. Because ukhanza lamanye ama startups, they're starting from scratch. Okay, labanye even though it's an ongoing project, but kuba netikhala ukuthi ngalokuthi starting from scratch bayisaba lokuthi le business yabo batayihandlisha kanjani. So how do we address that? Siyazama lokuthi provide mentorship and coaching ku address lawo ma concerns lango, because siya understand ukuthi umuntu omusha maningi ama challenges lahlangana nawo ezazama ku establish business yakhe. So utsina, how do we pitch in as youth fund the mentorship and the coaching lesama basita ngayo from there.
Okay, so does the fund fund already existing business noma mhlambe nifuna vele labo labasaqala nje kepha nenda kanjani nesikhwama?
Okay, ngiyabonga Mthombeni. Kahle kahle sibuke yonke i-project leta sinasende i-assessment yabo sikhanze ukuthi viable, whether it's a startup noma i-project le ongoing, because we are khumbula ukuthi akhona ama ideas lango lokhanza ukuthi they are viable now abuka la on paper because they can be funded. In as much as lo youth individual ukhanze ukuthi inawo lama challenges ukuthi kahle phela besengase ayenda le project, but now uthatha buka le CV yakho ubone ukuthi he's been part of the projects, into lebeka solo ayenda mhlawumbe kwasebenta part of the project noma into lakhule ngato invete kanjalo nje mfumene.
Okay, so ngifuna sibuke naba laba 13 nje lesaba approvile lesaba qualifyile rather ukuthi nida khona kuba funda ngema business abo. I think sifuna ukuva nje ukuthi laba 13 bane ma business lathini athi nje ma business ideas abo nekuthi kuthatha isikhathi singana ukuthi ba train kude bafike laba khona nyalo, and what's the next step for them?
Siyabonga Thombeni. Ngicela nje lokuvetela ama sectors lesiwafundile. Ngicela nje setha ngile agribusiness bese kuda ema logistics ngumbi yawo. So but le agribusiness yona iya dominate. Bese ke lokunye kuba ama services nje lamanye bo retail. But le leader ngile agribusiness so far kulama beneficiaries ethu. How long did it take? The training is at 14 days. Usually it's 14 days training yethu. So let's say it's going to go to the stage le, so after the training bese sibanika lama offers. I mean, sorry, kuqale le offer bese kuthi ama-trainings bese ke sekubana le signing of lama offers, then ke bese kulandzela le mentorship and coaching, then the funding.
Okay. I think mhlambe kukubuyisela emuva nje Sihlangu. I think for umuntu lomusha nje mhlambe lo office okunayo ku-applyela i-funding. Sicale nje la kucaleni ukuthi u-apply kanjani, kwendeka kanjani, kuthatha isikhathi esinganani, because I think uvedile indaba yokuthi kumele ukuthi bese niyabuya kuye nimnikete i-feedback. Le process nje, the whole procedure imvele sithatha isikhathi esinganani ukuze ngifike la ekugcineni la sengithola khona imali yami.
Ngiyabonga Mthombeni. Siyaye sithi whoever lo applyer asinikete at least 6 months for the process up until the disbursement of the fund. The funding process icala ku lapho a-applya khona, where we call for applications. Calling for applications abangafaka ke physically through ukuthola ama-forms etinkundleni. Then lenye indlela yoku-applya leseyilula nyalo lesikweni lezinye fund ukuthi website so yakhona ku-apply online. But again, after la masiceda receive lama applications ethu kube sekuba ne pre-screening. Lapho sesibuka lama applications ukuthi ngibona i-paperwork iphelele yini, onke ama documents lama requirements aphelele yini. Emva kaloko bese kudale lokuthi laba qualified basende kule intermediary yethu lama partners ethu lesebenzisana nawo singate fund. Bese kulandzela le appraisal yalama applications ukuthi babuketa ukuthi le business itaba viable yini vele kule funding. Kube sekuba nema committees laba khona labukete lama applications. Kuba ne credit committee lebuka le potential yakho ukuthi kahle kahle how far can we go kule funding yakho lo iproposile la kule application yakho. Kube seke kuba nalama offer letters. Mazisibone no application yakho seyiwinile bese skipha lama offer letters. After lama offer letters bese siyabuya ke sende lama business trainings lebe ngona siwenda kulama la. After lama business trainings then ke bese sekubuya le letter of yokusayina sesende lama offer letters. Nguwe nathi youth fund siyasayina kanye kanye bese bangile disbursement of the fund. After disbursement bese kutakele coaching and mentorship. Phecelezi nje ngileyo le process yale funding yethu.
Okay. Ngifuna ukubuza lapha ukuthi okay sibonile ukuthi siba qualified lama beneficiaries batayitfola imali bachubeke nama projects abo sethi mhlambe a few months down the line business yabo sayidinga i-bail out niyakhona yini ukuthi niphindze nibaside mhlambe nibalekelele with more money noma mhlambe kumele ukuthi vele bacede lesi sikweleti lesi kunkhani nibasida futhi ngalenye imali.
Kule ma policies etfaka youth fund si suggest ukuthi loyo labolekele imali akona lokuthi acede lesikweleti sakhe bese ngikhani pheze simniketele enye imali futhi. I-advantage ukuthi usheshe ucede isikweleti ngilokho siphinde sisheshe sikubolekele imali. Kulama bailouts ngicela ngingene khona kakhulu because say more into business development. So lengakusho nje ukuthi kahle kahle siyazama lokuthi siba assist kule mentorship kuze athi khona ukuthi le business yakhe achubeke nayo make sure ukuthi uyabhadala back because uyakhumbula lokubhadala back it's a revolving fund. Kuyakhona ukuthi kusitha lomunye lenye youth member ukuthi khona ayekuvula ibusiness yakhe. So lengakusho nje ukuthi siya encourage ukuthi basheshe babhadale back le mali ukuze bathi khona ukuthola more funding.
Yeah, speaking of le repayment ngizamile ukuthi sikhwama sake savalwa vele ngithi after ukuthi bambe bangasabhadali imali lokusesiphinze savulwa futhi ingabe vele mhlambe nyalo babhadala kahle yini vele uyakhona nje ukuthi vele nangabathatha imali akhona ukuyibuyisela back esikhwameni kodwa kutawusitekala labanye bamfu nje basovedile nje.
Ngiyabonga Mthombeni. Lokubhadala sine difficulty yakho. But ke lengakusho ukuthi ayazama lama entrepreneurs lokuyibisa back le mali. Lesi kwendawo ethina senior fund ukuthi siyazama ukuthi in house kube nayo leyo department lebukele le repayment yalama loans, because previously besibona le rate beyiphasi kakhulu. Ever since sizame lokhu kuma the interventions la in-house, siyabona ukuthi seyakhuphuka le ndlela ababhadala ngayo lama youth entrepreneurs. So I think lokho lokusitako currently nase sitazama ukuthi si-invest more for my efforts ethu kiko. Lokuthi sibe nako in-house sitakhona ukuthi i-department isebenzisana nayo ku-ensure ukuthi kahle kahle le mali iyabuya back. Bazama ukuthi babashayele bantu, bazama lokuthi bakhulumise ngenza bade kubhadala le mali back.
Ingabe nasingathi nje isimo lesichubekako lesi sihlangu kungaba imvule lemata kanganani ezisikhwama, and buto lokho ukuthi bathi yini letikhala badvetaka ukuthi bangakhona ibhadala le mali, ngabe amabhizinisi abo awendi kahle yini in terms of my profits, bafaka maphi ma reasons?
Ngiyabonga Mthombeni. I think issue lesiyibona ngathi iba i-problem. Bekundzaba te COVID-19 tibalimete kakhulu bosomabhizinisi. In fact, onke ama-business abe affected. So lokho kusifakile isandla ekhasi ukuthi bosomabhizinisi bangakhoni ukubhadala back le mali. Yes. Lokunye wokhanza ukuthi ngile climate change. Emabhizinisi la ka-agribusiness utawukhumbula ukuthi bekusolo kunetimvula lebetimatima. Wokhanza ukuthi vele le produce yabo iba affected. Hence bese abasakhona lokubhadala kahle le mali back. Bekulama issues la kanjalo nje pheceleti lengathi nje bekayinkinga kakhulu. But kulokunye bokhanza ukuthi maybe ngile management yale business. Lokho siyazama lo addressa because utawukhumbula ukuthi nangabe i-youth iqala business ataba khona ama challenges lakho. But it's in lesizama kwenda si-youth funding. Sizama lokuthi si intensify lama efforts ethu like mentorship and coaching. Kuze sitokhona sisebenzisana nabo because we are partners. Asi ukuthi mhlambe siyakuniketa imali siyakuyekelela. We want to partner with you from the start to the finish.
Okay, mase siyake nje ngasemaphethelweni ngifuna sikhulume nje ngema collaborations mhlambe le ninawo with other organizations and also possible collaborations. I think nje one possible one lesiyibonile on your social media pages ngiyo nehlangano Women Farmer Foundation, and also lesimbonile ni sign agreement ngiyo inhlangano ke enactors manje kusiniketa nje sithombe on those collaborations.
Ngiyabonga Mthombeni. Kule ma partnerships ethu ngicala ukuthi kahle why sifike la kutheni size sibuke ukuthi funa sipartnerisha. Lesirealizile ukuthi we cannot do this thing alone. Kufuna ukuthi sipartnerisha. We do not want to work in silos. As umphathi wethu babenkambule always aspire ukuthi we have to collaborate actively with other partners. So le collaboration lena ita ukuthi sifuna ku-ensureisha ukuthi si-reacha more youth. Sibone ukuthi nathi youth fund siyazama lokuthi sibe nema sibone ukuthi bangaki abantu lesibasitako on the ground. Nokuthi nangabe sebenzisana lamanye ama-organization, how far can we go kule ndzaba te youth development. Kule partnership partnerships zethu langa we to sign MOUs, which means la ngona akukhona kubona lokuthi sitawo collaborate kumaphi areas kulobudlelane bethu. Mekise nje inectors sibuka lokuthi yena uyakhona lokuthi asebenzisane na youth kusita ngalihlangosi la entrepreneurship. I-target yakhe nje ma learning institutions. So nathi sisebenzisana na youth and sisebenzisa entrepreneurship. So kahle siyabona ukuthi kahle we can partner because senda invele icishe ifane. The second one kuba Women Farmer Foundation. Women Farmer Foundation siyabona ukuthi une experience ngala agri business. Sibonile nje enda awards akhe under Women Farmer Foundation, and they are growing, they are doing a very excellent job. So siyabona ukuthi la youth yethu lena ma challenges ngala agri business. Women Farmer Foundation angayisita kanjani le youth yethu le target yethu yaka agriculture. So lengakusho nje ukuthi it's a process that is still ongoing. Lisengayisilishi kahle le relationship yethu, but we are working on it. Lamanye ama-partners ethu lesisebenzisana nabo ngilama
Sina 30 seconds nje sekudiscuss.
Alright. Lamanye ama-partners esisebenzisana nabo ngilama learning institutions, because I understand ukuthi as much as bafunza i-youth yethu akusiyo yonke le bese ithola imisebenzi. So we want to take advantage lama graduates lokhanza ukuthola ukuthola umsebenzi, because we believe ukuthi bona sekulula kibo kusibacela umsebenzi, because at least banayo le know how, and futhi kulula kubafundzisa because bona banako ukusheshe ba-understand sibuka lokho sibona futhi bangakhona kucela umsebenzi bacashela amanye futhi ema-youth individuals.
All right.
Yes, bende le process ibe elula ngakho le ngakusho from that.
Okay, Sihlangu kuba nasilo mhla. Unfortunately, we have to end our interview there ngenxa yesikhathi, kepha sithemba ukuthi kunengiloku ufundzile embukeli kakhulukazi wena mvlo musha uma ngabe ufisa uku-apply nawo khona ukuthola lusido lwetimali kodwa ukhona ukusungula ibhizinisi yakho, kanti bayatholakala naka Facebook le page labo lithi Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund. Imininingwane legcwele utayithola khona lapho. Let's take a break nasibuya stop esahlelo.
Exactly a minute before 8 lomhlakuseni Lulu. I think what has been interesting namuhla kuva ukuthi tonke leti inhlango sithuthukisa emabhizinisi tithi agriculture ngiyo lebonakala kakhulu, agribusiness. And I think that's very interesting njengoba sivetile ukuthi liteko letekulima lapha events solocudela bona abantu labasha ukuthi batingenele tekulima njengoba akusitakali bona bodwa kodwa nelive liphindze lisitakale ndzabeni abo food security nasekufubuleni umnotho. So we are looking forward ukuthi bona ke leto tindzaba leto titfutfuka sibabona labo bosomabhizinisi bakhula basupply live lonke ngetilimo tabo.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.
The Parliamentary Service Board, parliamentarians and staff of the Parliamentary Service join His Majesty King Eswatini III in Ndlovukazi and the entire nation in celebrating His Majesty's 55th birthday. Let us make 2023 a year of turnaround, abounding in peace, tranquility and success in our beautiful kingdom. Lunwele lolutse Mbangazitha.
Let's live it up and party and have cracking good fun. When it comes to edutainment, DSTV's #1.
Is everybody ready to go, go, go?
We've got the zaniest characters to transport you away. The party is cracking, so why not come play? You're gonna love it. We've got so many channels and a ton of new shows, like Disney and Nickelodeon, where anything goes. So live it up with DSTV. We bring the fun. You know we're #1.